Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is an independently produced program. The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the producer and do not reflect those of Falls Area Community Television, its staff, or board of directors. Take a deep breath. Remember this is public access and carry on.
Secrets in the shadows, lost and found. Truth in every echo, loud and clear. Keep on with the long road, no more fear. In the halls of power, whispers grow. Every secret cut beneath the undertone. Honest stories hidden in the dust. On this long road, in the truth we trust.
Hello, welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. I'm a little gruffy today. I've been working at Manchester all day and I just barely made it back to start the show. I appreciate the good people here at Fact TV putting up with my little tardiness. They do a great job and give me an opportunity to present this show. And today, basically, we're less than a week away from the signature of President Trump signing on his big, beautiful bill. We still don't know what's in the big, beautiful bill. There was over 1,200 pages, and most of the people that voted one way or another never read the bill. They had staffers or other people that read the bill and looking for little points so they could discuss. So as time goes on, we will see that, well, big beautiful bill. We never thought that was in the big beautiful bill. And that's the way it's going to go. One of the things in the big, beautiful bill was billions and billions of extra dollars for Homeland Security and ICE to go in and find illegal aliens and export them from the country. So far, right now, in ICE's job of going around the country, they're still behind the rate of exports that was done under President Obama's administration. But here, the question when it comes to locating illegal aliens and shipping them out, the big question is, how much power does the federal government have? How much power should the federal government have? Should the federal government, ICE, have complete and uncontrollable access to any place in the city? Should ICE have the ability to go into, say, City Hall, or go into church, or go into college, go into the local schools? Well, that comes up with a difficult answer. You got a group of people who says, we have to get all these illegal aliens out. Okay? Then we got a group that says we should not get rid of any of illegal aliens unless it's due process. And then you got people in the middle saying, well, why do you have to give due process to somebody we know is not an American citizen, so that individual should have never been here? Due process, the question is, where you hear, are you here legally or not? If you're not here legally, why should you get due process? So you got all the different groups. But wait a minute. You got one group over here that says, I want all illegal aliens out of the country. Okay? Who cares? Yeah, but she's a Muslim. She's been here 40 years. Out. Or she's from here, or they're from there. Out. The federal government should have the ability to use any manner or means and go anywhere they want to be to locate illegal aliens. So now we're looking at the fact that Social Security is allowing the federal government to go through Social Security records to locate aliens, migrants. Then, as I'm coming in today reading, is that the Homeland Security and ICE are now going through medical reports. People that were used Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever program that different states call it, looking for people who may have been are not U.S. citizens or not here illegally, getting them to be so they can be located and deported. Okay. Then they're just using different things. IRS. So there's a number of things that we in Americans have felt really critical about is our privacy. Okay. When the ICE or Homeland Security goes in and searches Social Security records, searches IRS records, search insurance records for people who should not be here. Okay? But when that happens, we as American citizens have lost all our privacy. So you have to ask yourself, do we give the federal government so much control to locate and deport people who are illegally that we're willing to give up all our privacy to the federal government? And once privacy is given up, it's never returned. So if I'm working in Homeland Security, or I'm a contractor that's working for Homeland Security or ICE, and I'm going through all this information. Look at all these people. I can get their Social Security, their date of birth, their mother's name, father's name. I can get all this maiden name, all this information. And we as the American people would then have complete trust in the federal government that none of this information will be stolen or sold so someone can make an illegal profit. for someone to be able to scam us. Well, look at how many times some of the top name banks, security firms, credit card firms, and everything have had their data breached. Okay, but you can say, well, that would never happen with the federal government. Are you sure? Are you positive that the federal government could never be hacked and all our information finds itself on the dark web or some illegal trading platform that sells privacy? Well, you can say, I trust the federal government that this will never happen. Well, I bet you do not have to worry about a guy named Edward Stone, who happened to put a lot of this information, type of classified government information, on a couple of jump drives, took off and moved to Russia. Well, the thing is, he didn't give up a lot of stuff. But just imagine if he was a real bad guy who took that information and sold it. What about PFC Manning, who took thousands and thousands and thousands of classified documents, federal documents, high security, and turned them over to Wikipedia leaks? These two individuals, one an outside contractor and one a PFC in the Army, an E3, said, hey, the government is spying on all the American citizens. They're doing this, 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 and this. The other one says the federal government is lying about what's happening in Iraq. These two individuals, whether you judge them to be right or wrong, both violated the law, but they felt that they were violating the law. Their justification was they were violating the law to expose people who were working for the government who were violating the law. Without these two individuals, we would not have known. But again, it goes back to what happened. If these two individuals are doing it, there are other individuals who are doing it for profit. And like I says, if we are willing to say to the federal government, take our health records, take our social security records, take our income tax records, maybe even take our property records and our financial records, and you're going to use it to capture and deport illegal aliens, I trust you. We trust you. Well, that's a decision a lot of us are being faced with. A bunch of us say, well, it's no big deal. It doesn't affect me. Okay. What about the mayor of the sheriff of Cheshire County had stated that the county in this area were sanctuaries. So what happens if ICE comes into Keene and says, we are going to stay here until we eradicate any and all illegal aliens in Keene? Migrants, aliens. Okay. Are there illegals in Keene? Yes, there are illegals in Keene. Possibly we all know at least a few illegals in Keene. Some businesses make profit by employing illegal aliens, migrants. But how long and how big of a presence should ICE or Homeland Security have in the city of Keene if they want? And so, where does federal control, when does local control, when does state control take over? Would Homeland Security have to go and say, well, the police in Keene won't help us round up migrants, so we ourselves have to come in and round up the migrants? And so, again, that is control that we give up. And it's like, and it's kind of like the past 6 months or even since 2001, we have given up so much control to the federal government. And why do we constantly give up control? Because we're told it's for our own good, our own protection. Well, 9/11 was pretty serious. Okay? So say we round off 9/11 to 4,000 people. 4,000 people is a lot of people. But more people will die in traffic accidents across the country in a 2-month period. Okay, so now we look at, we gave up a lot of freedoms because of 9/11. And so, are we safer? Well, no, we haven't had, yes, we are, in one way, because we haven't had a terrorist attack since September 11th. You can say terrorists. Yes, we have what's now termed domestic terrorism, homegrown terrorism. You have the guy who goes down into the nightclub in Florida and decides he's going to shoot up the place to kill as many gays or lesbians as possible. Yep, that domestic terrorism. But what does that have to do with foreign terrorism? We had the individual in Las Vegas that was up there in the hotel just shooting. Domestic terrorism. We had the individual in California into the workplace shooting up a lot. That was domestic terrorism. We had the individual in Sandy Hook killing all those children. That was domestic terrorism. So we gave up a lot of rights out of fear. And we haven't regained them back. We're not going to regain them back. We're constantly giving up more because of two reasons. We're told to be afraid, and then we're told it's happening to them, it's not happening to us. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. We in the United States, one of the greatest things in the United States was we could get up, get in a car, get in a plane, get in on a train, or get on a bus and go anywhere we wanted to go whenever we wanted. But now, the telephone companies, for our own freedom, for our own protection, can be required to give up cell tower information and track us. Every time banks, every time we use an ATM, or every time we use a credit card, they track us. Again, that's for fraud protection and to make sure people don't wipe out our bank accounts or things like that. So right now, we have given up so much control to the federal government that if you have a cell phone, you have a transponder, Easy Pass in your card, and you have a credit card, they can track your movement down to the 100th of a second and know where you are basically almost anywhere in the United States. If I leave Keene, I go on the Mass Pike, bang, bang, bang. It's being tracked. I can drive into certain cities, being tracked. You know, you go to Washington, D.C., they know where you are. They got cameras all over the place. Chicago has cameras all over the place. Again, we're told it's for our protection. Really? And when we look at all these different things, the amazing part is, or maybe the saddest part is, we constantly are giving up so much of our freedoms, of our privacy, willingly to the government. Not asking, no, the government's not asking us, hey, you think this is a good idea? They go and say, hey, let's take this because very few people are going to complain anyway. And if they complain, they're just to the radical right or they're spacehead liberals. But like I was talking last week, the government of New Hampshire, one of the bills they passed is that if you're a minor child, your parents can go into the library and I would say I want a list of every single book that my child has checked out. Well, what benefit is that? Well, I'm saying, or you have other ones, it's like the government goes and says, you know what? If you do not want your child in any subject matter that's going to deal with religion or sexuality or anything that you do not agree on, you say, no, I want my child out of that class that day. Okay? But they're saying, well, that means the government is giving me control. Is the government giving you control? You may come across as, yes, I'm controlling. I can make sure my child never gets exposed to this, never gets the opportunity to take certain books, read certain novels in high school, or go out to the library and check them out. Okay? That sounds pretty good. The government is giving you control, and you're really happy. So, I was talking to my granddaughter, two of my granddaughters, both a graduate of Keene High, and we were talking. She's practicing and taking the tests to get into the LPN program. She passed, and we were going over, and she was saying, you know, that reading part was kind of tough. And I go, what do you mean? She says, yeah, they give you the pat, and I just don't understand how to create a synopsis of it. And I go, yeah, Christian had the same problem. He was in Japan, and I spent a lot of time FaceTiming and going back and forth because he couldn't write an essay. And he couldn't do this. He could not comprehend higher level reading. Okay, when I went to school, I read Shakespeare's book, Merchant of Venice. Okay? Because you can't read that nowadays because one of the main characters was Jewish, and he wasn't a very nice guy. I read Macbeth. Okay? You can't read that nowadays because of some of the interactions, and some people are calling Macbeth kind of one of those unknown genders. But I'm going, Macbeth, Merchant of Venice, Taming of the Shrew, Mice and Men. Oh, you can't read that because you got gay characters in there. So we went over a list of maybe 10 or 11 novels and plays that I had to read in high school. My 3 grandkids, well, my 4 grandkids that have graduated out of Keene High School, not one single one of them had to read a novel or a play. Well, and because of that, they're high school grads, and right now, they're learning stuff, they're reading at a higher level, and we're going over ways to do it, teaching that stuff that should have been in high school. When I looked at her exam, and I'm going, you only needed like a 68 in reading to pass? Yep. And I'm looking at some of these other ones for places that go into moving up to LPN nurses. And the scores, like, we're all in the 60s. Because the government gave parents and others the right to complain and to ensure their children never read anything that the parents might find objectionable. Romeo and Juliet, premarital sex, underage sex, suicide. Instead of doing Romeo and Juliet, explaining what happened and why it shouldn't happen, make it as a teaching point. Nope. So, quote unquote, we thought we were gaining a freedom, but what we did was took away our children's ability to read and write, to understand what's going on in the real world. And so you get a politician speaking at this level or a government official speaking at that level. And so our children and many of the adults and voters in the country do not want to appear dumb, so they don't say anything. They nod their heads and listen, and they go along with whatever group they're in. They will not challenge anything because they want to remain part of that group. So instead of being critical thinkers, free thinkers, things that require reading and discussion and everything, we became group thinkers. Again, without even realizing it or even complaining about it, we gave up the freedom that come with the ability to read and write and critical thinking, to come up with opinions of our own, and the ability to support and defend those opinions. So, let's give you an example of what happened. The federal government in the big blue beautiful bill has said we have 42 million people on food stamps. A lot of them are guys in their 20 and 30, able-bodied guys sitting home playing Xbox or Xbox or PlayStation. Okay? It's got to be right, because we were told this is why we have to cut it. We've got 42 million people, and most of them are slime bags, lazy butts, just sitting home in mama's living room or dad's basement, just spending money on video games. So why are we, the American taxpayers, doing that? Then, okay, we have all these people on Medicaid. Again, able-bodied people. Okay, we're putting people on Medicaid and all this other kind of food stamps up to 54. You have work requirements and everything. Oh no, we're going to make that to 65. You know why a lot of people retire at 62? Because they're beat up. They can't go to work, or the work is done layoffs, and then they can't find another job. So if we had maintained our ability to be educated in a demanding fashion, I could go and say, wait a minute, they're saying 42 million people on food stamps, and a lot of them are just lazy butts, guys doing nothing. If I had been educated correctly, if I was taught how to read, if I was able to develop evidence-based opinions, critically think, I would go, you know what? I need to check what they're saying based of that 42 million is true. I need to find out, where are they getting their information? Well, if you were able to do that, you would find out the information that was being told to you about food stamps and Medicare only contained a small level of truth. Because the greatest way to lie to the masses is to come across with an authoritarian statement with some factual evidence. And because then people accept it. So let's see what's happened over the years. How we nicely gave up. Okay. Up until the 1970s, a lot of businesses gave health care to their workers, and it wasn't that expensive and stuff. But the businesses got really smart. They worked with the government. When Ronald Reagan came in, he says, yeah, we got to get rid of those welfare queens, and we got to get rid of these lazy people that are just sucking on the nipple of the taxpayers. Bill Clinton says, yep, we got to do, and so they changed welfare under him. Okay? So people don't spend a lifetime on welfare. And there's all these different requirements and ages and stuff. So Walmart, McDonald's, a whole bunch of companies go, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to not increase our pay. We're going to have the government go and say, hey, you know what? Let's make this right to work state. Okay. A whole bunch of different things which we willingly went along with because it never affected us, or we thought it would never affect us. So Walmart, let's think of a super Walmart. Look at how many people, say, for example, work in the super Walmart in Hinsdale. Then think of how few of those people that work in that Walmart in Hinsdale get health care from Walmart. A lot of them like 30, 31 hours. Because you can see the Walmart supervisors with the that little piece, that little touchpad. They go, oh, Susie, bingo, no one after this. Or, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to bring someone right in the middle of checking out a person to replace you. Because they want to make sure no one goes over the thresh line. Okay, so Susie's working at Walmart at Hinsdale. So they're getting paid pretty good. She gets $14 an hour, 30 hours a week. Okay, 30 hours a week, $14 an hour. $420 a week, so $1,700 a month. Oh, So you take some of the taxes out, you take some of Social Security out and everything. So Susie's got $1,500 a month to live on. Now, Susie has 2 children because she had a worthless husband or worthless baby daddy who just took off and really hasn't been held accountable. No, Susie's working 30 hours a week, getting paid really well by Walmart and Hinsdale standards, $14 an hour. Even if she was getting $20 an hour, that'd only give her $2,400. So Susie gets food stamps. Susie gets Medicaid for her and her children. Susie then gets free lunches for her children. Okay? Who pays for food stamps? Federal taxpayers. Who pays for Medicaid? A lot of it's the federal taxpayers and local. Okay. Why does Susie need food stamps? Because a lot of the produce, vegetables, things like milk and other stuff that is sold by the Walmart she works in, she can't afford. Okay? So Walmart, who had to pay like 37% on their profits, hey, you know what? Walmart will now pay 21% on their profits. So that means Walmart will be paying less money to the federal government. So instead of Walmart using that money to increase the wages of its workers, or maybe give them a couple extra hours a week so they can buy health care. No, we have done it. So in our stupidity of accepting the fact that we were being told, accepting what we were told as being fact about these lazy people. So Walmart purposely limits the amount of people who work for them who can get health care. And because these people can't get help, Walmart doesn't have to help pay for health care, then Walmart's profits increase. Then the federal government goes and says, you know what, Walmart? We know if we reduce your taxes from 37 to 21%, you're going to hire more people and you're going to reduce your prices. Well, Walmart didn't hire more people. Walmart didn't increase its prices, but Walmart increased its stock dividends to the shareholders. Even to a point that a lot of Sam Walton's heirs are disgusted with the present Walmart. Okay, so what happens is, you know what? The federal government says we're going to give billions and billions of dollars to the agriculture industry. The agriculture industry then is going to hire a lot of migrants. Why? Because we can pay them low wages, We don't even have to have workman's comp on them. We can come in, we can come out. We can recruit them right in. And a couple of months back, I had done a show where the girl, 16-year-old girl, comes across the border. She's in San Diego. Her older sister sends her a plane ticket. She flies right into Alabama. They go see the lawyer for $1,500. For $1,500, she's given a driver's license and a social security card. Then they go in, they bring her back right to the chicken process place. And instead of her going to school, she gets a job working in there. She's illegal. The people in San Diego were getting federal funds to help house her. Bingo, the sister gets money to get her to Alabama. Then they pay this shady lawyer $1,500 to get a credit card. And you may have someone in the credit card, local social security office that can go to the dead file and pull out social security numbers from dead people. I can go to Ancestry.com and get my grandfather and my great-grandfather's social security number out of the dead file. Bingo. So they hire it. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars. The agriculture businesses go, you know what? We're making profit by using these people. And payment is reduced down to 21% from 37%. And you know what? We can sell a lot of our product overseas, whether it's soybeans or corn and beef, our best beef overseas for a greater profit. Guess who pays for it? The American taxpayer. Okay, Nebraska has a problem. A lot of migrants in the state of Nebraska had credit cards, had social security cards, and they had driver's licenses, and they were paying in every month, and they were paying taxes. They were spending money out and paying taxes. But now, because of ICE and everything, the state of Nebraska is looking at the fact of, holy crap, we could be losing $350 million in tax revenue this year. Okay? We've been screwed. We gave up so much because we were told we were fear. We had so much taken from us because they did not want to educate our children. They wanted us into group think. They told us, you do not have to think. You don't even have to ask the questions. We'll ask the questions and we'll give you the answers. And we're doing it for your own good. Well, we have created under the tax system and things like this, creating more and more people who require food stamps and who require health care. So how do we solve it? Instead of letting the corporate tax rate go up or back to 37 or somewhere in there, we say no. The corporate tax rate will stay at 21%, and to help pay for that, we will get people off food stamps and we will get people off Medicaid. And at the same time, because we've created this thing, we go deeper and deeper into debt every year. Because paying for food stamps and paying for Medicaid is deficit spending. Well, you know what's going to happen? Okay, let's take Cumberland Farms. You know what? It'd be nice to spend a week at Cumberland Farms and just watch how much money is spent, SNAP money is spent at Cumberland Farms. Okay? How much SNAP money is spent at small businesses, mom and pop stores? A lot of those mom and pop stores and everything are going to go out of business because they depend on people coming in. It's not the best choice for them to buy a loaf of bread at Cumberland Farms or a gallon of milk, but they do that. Or Elm Street Market or North Street Market or any of those. While they're up here, they seem to forget the food stamps and child care credit and a whole bunch of other stuff that they're giving based on money that we don't have is to keep people buying in Walmart, keep people going to McDonald's, keep people going to small. Walmart and a lot of these places need to understand if people don't have money, they can't buy. If they can't buy, you can't profit. Well, we gave up our ability to think to the government. And I go, would you trust any one of those people with the life of your family, their safety? If the answer is no, don't trust them with your ability to think.